affect you a lot. And how do you not let it affect you, get you down?
I think it is a very difficult question that Emily presents because I do
Yeah,
feel that a little bit too. So I can totally relate. And in the community class, you don't have that at all. It's just like, so it is more, it's easier. But I think honestly, that's kind of what attracted me to you as a teacher many years ago at Prajna is because you were a little bit aggressive and direct. And so a lot of times I went to yoga class and I would do stuff wrong, and the teacher wouldn't say anything. So I just keep doing it the wrong way, or suboptimally, or hurting myself, or whatever, or not getting a benefit. So that's what I really like. But one of the things I like from you is that. So that
yeah.
for me, I just kind of accept it. It's kind of funny, even on the videos, you still corrected me, and so, but I did notice sometimes I actually was a little ahead of it. I was like, oh, I actually got that one already. She didn't have to correct me that time because I was already doing what the correction was, about half of them. Um, so that's good. And then believe it or not, we all, like I think we all have said before, is we have you in our head when we're doing it on our own or with another class. We kind of still, oh, that's where Ewan would tell me that something else. So even if you're not there doing the correction, I still get the correction anyway sometimes. So, and another thing, I mean, some of us, I think we've said before, is we're on mute and you do a correction, we're like, you just say something back. So that's one way to deal with it is kind of just like, say something back to you, but you can't really hear it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay, so yeah, well, again, Emily, how you feel is so normal. Everyone feels the same way to some extent. Everyone does. But the fact that you are still here after 15 years, it says a lot. But I am concerned about you feeling nervous on the mat. So that nervousness can be countered by it's easier for me to say because I don't get in my head as much or get emotional about things as much. But when you receive the correction, what I would love for you to start to practice is when the correction is given and when you make the correction, go straight into sensing the change in the body so that it's not going into your head, but hopefully you could get like a somatic experience from a physical adaptation, something like that to make it more yeah, physical. And to if you get my correction and you correct it is very important to complete the feedback loop. Like, okay, corrections given, correction is made. How do I feel in the body? Which is a nice lead in to what I like everybody to start with. Part of the curriculum, if you remember the table of content, is stability, steadiness. That's what I would like to address. Which part of the body controls our ability to move, balance, so on and so forth? The brain. The brain. What the brain does is the brain would get data in from different parts of the body. The joints, the muscles, they provide data to the brain on where the body parts are. And this all has to do with cultivating proprioception and creating steadiness on the mat. So the muscles, the joints, they give data to the brain in terms of the body parts. Now, in terms of balance, there's a system of three. It's the feet, the eyes, and one that we can't really have much control over directly is the vestibular system. So these three, they work as a tight team to help you with balance. So your ability to feel your feet is very important. In yoga, it's about drishti. Where is the gaze when you're moving and practicing? The sensors from the feet and from your eyes will feed data into the vestibular system. Now, some of us have divergent vision, meaning that our eyes are not moving in the same direction. So for those people, even if it's slight off of divergent, you'll have a greater issue with balance. The orientation of your head would affect your vision, which then will also affect your vestibular system, which is about knowing your orientation for balance, your spatial experience, your spatial senses. Okay, so today let's go ahead and work on starting to work on that. I just want to do a quick assessment. If you all could face the camera standing up, and try to obviously balance the weight distribution on the feet. Now close your eyes. Face me. Yeah. I need to be able to see your feet on the screen. Close your eyes and bring your arms out like a zombie. And your arms will be at shoulder height, just out, and your palms down. Straight in front of you. Yeah, eyes closed. First, to give you a better start, make sure your feet are straight. I've noticed that some of you, your feet are kind of oriented out or in. All of this is going to affect the sensors the feet will give up to the brain for balance. Okay, so once you have set the feet, close your eyes. Now march in place like you're a soldier with your arms out, eyes closed. Arms straight in front. Mary Lou, your arms in front, palms down. Yeah, march. Eyes closed. You don't need to bring the knee up so high, just march. Just like walk. Keep walking. Make sure the eyes don't open. So, yeah, some of you, your feet are not picking up high enough. Your feet are barely off the mat. But if you're afraid of falling, then fine, leave it. Okay, open up your eyes. Where are you facing? Don't move. Don't move. Look, open up your eyes. Some of you are dead on straight. Most of you are turned, angled. Emily, where were you? Did you turn? Okay, so some of you probably didn't expect to have turned so much. You probably thought you were still marching in place, dead on straight. I'm going to do it again, just for safe measure. Go stand facing me. Now that you know what we're doing, feet hip width. And then arms straight out, shoulder height with the palms down, eyes closed. You're going to march in place again. Go for it, eyes closed. Just walk normally. You don't need to intentionally slow things down. How would you, this is a gait, your normal gait, just in place. Normal gait. How fast do you walk normally? Okay, stop, stop. Okay. So, yeah, you see how we're all turned? This has to do with your vestibular and how, if we do not intentionally use our feet, use our eyes to create anchors, our vestibular system, typically for most of us, has an imbalance. And so obviously you don't want to orient to one side, but knowing that you may not be balanced if you're just strictly counting on your vestibular, your sense of spatial orientation, you can't just count on it. You need to course correct with your feet along with your eyes. This is a system of 3. Okay, so today I will help you anchor your eyes when we'll go into the drishti. The feet, we have talked about the feet a lot. So today I won't be talking about the feet. Let's start in mountain pose. While you're in mountain pose at the top of your mat, just quickly, in terms of creating stability, we have to have good awareness of our weight, how we're distributing our weight, and how we're shifting the weight during transitions. So now you're just feeling 50-50 on each side of the weight. Put your hands on your pelvis just to double check. Make sure your pelvis is leveled on both sides and that they're directly over your ankles. And that will give you a greater weight loading into the heels. Good. And arms now out by the sides with your palms faced forward. Go ahead and activate the body. And just do a check. Maybe it's already, but you do a check. So here in mountain pose is such a great pose because it teaches the body in terms of, orientation of the flexors and the extenders in the body, where your shoulders are placed directly over the hips, the front and the back side of the body, even, balanced, and your nervous system loves it. Your neck is included too, with the rest of the spine. So check in with the head orientation. Now, I've said many times is to have the gaze more to the horizon with a slight angle down. We don't want to look up because that sort of vertical movement of the eyes up and down, really uses up a lot of dopamine. It gets you way too excited to the point that all the up and down vertical movement, you do that off your mat. You don't want to keep doing it when you're on the mat because you over time, become dopamine deficient. Then people are more likely to get into depressive state. We don't want to look down either, right? Because when we look down, it's hard to create that visual anchor and it's easier to fall. So just know, even here, you want to work on the gaze. Let's go ahead and move the arms, inhaling, arms up overhead. Pretend I've strapped 50 pounds of weight onto each arm. And so when you're moving with resistance. With that, your muscles, your joints will feel more stuff so that more data could go into the brain. Come down halfway, straight back. Hinge from the hips, arms out to air. You're just going to pause here. We just change the orientation of the upper body. Obviously, your eyes are no longer out to the horizon. Where and how do you gaze into this pose? You pretend there's no floor, that you have X-ray vision. You're going to look past through the floor. You feel that extensive sort of a wide vision to give you that relaxation into your head. Good. Now, fold more into your standing forward fold. Please make sure you still have enough weight into the heels. The eyes, the feet. So even if I'm not talking about the feet, you're always sensing the feet. The feet and the eyes, they have the most sensors, neurosensors, and they will give your brain constantly that feedback for balance. Plant your hands down and step back, plank pose, hold it. So another aspect or consideration for creating stability in the body as you move, or even if you're in a static pose, is to know what parts of the body is weight bearing. And those parts of the body that's weight bearing, you need to prop, meaning that you need to push off of it. Zig, walk your toes back a bit, get your heels straight up. Good. Come down on your belly slowly. Chaturanga, descent. Good. Do a little cobra. You know, if you go to a lot of yoga classes, anytime people are in this pose, you see the chin pulled out, the back of the neck so compressed, and everyone, almost everyone, is looking upwards. This is not us. Okay, lower down, push up to plank into downward facing dog, and just stay there in downward facing dog, feel it out. Feel free to alternate heel press if that helps you to open up lines on the back side of the body. But when you're doing this, make sure the hips don't shift forward, because then you've lost your downward facing dog. Okay, and be still. One of the reasons we do not wear socks or shoes is because the feet, right? The feet needs to have that closer contact to the surface to be able to pick up vibrations. While the hands do not have as many sensors, they still have a whole lot. So now your hands should feel, it's picking up a lot of data, vibration. Try to see if you could feel that. Back to plank. Inhale. Chaturanga, down to your belly. If it's too many of these, you don't need to do them all. Push up, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Doing this trend, these are simple, basic transitions, but are you paying attention to the gaze? Let me cue that same sequence and you pay attention to how you're using your eyes to anchor. Inhaling to plank. Exhaling down, chaturanga to your belly. Inhaling, cobra. The gaze change is minimal and it's not a complicated thing. Okay, lower down. Push up, plank. Downward facing dog. Please remember to breathe. One more time. One more time. Inhaling to plank. Fill up your body with air. Slowly come down, chaturanga. Pay attention to gaze. Keep your feet active, even here. Inhaling to cobra. Good. Lower down. Push up to plank. Downward facing dog. Good. Inhaling, right leg goes up. Some of you just picked up the head. This is only the leg, not the head. The head maintains in that downward facing dog position. One-legged plank. Hold it, keep it strong. Again, feel where the weight bearing is on which parts of the body, and then you push off that. Kiss your knee. Good. And step forward to low lunge. Low lunge. Left knee is down, right foot forward. You come up, and then you decide on the arm. Any variation of the arm movement. So pay attention to the chin. Your jaw, because it's all the system so connected, make sure you're not pulling the chin out. Amelie, bring your shoulders back a little bit and the rib cage back. Yeah. Good. Tuck your toes under, back foot. And then hover the back knee up a bit. If that's too much, just come up into high lunge. Tuck your toes under in the back foot. Yeah. Okay, then everybody high lunge. I've noticed on your ascend, that means when you came up, some of you, your gaze was very random, and that randomness would not help you create that energetic rise, nor would it help with balance. I'm going to let you think about it a little bit, how you approach that transition. Okay, open up, warrior two. One more breath. Come back, high lunge. When you're transitioning, manage your gaze. Lower the back knee down, return to low lunge. From here, we're going to add a twist on the return. Twist to the right. Set up the legs properly before you twist. It's about lengthening the spine on the inhale. And before my break, we actually spent a few classes talking about the gaze here, right? Either down, to the side, or up. You don't turn your head until the body is already in the pose. And not everybody needs to look up. One more breath. Good. Return, both hands down to plank pose. Downward facing dog. Keep your dog pose steady, alternate heel press. It's not a loosey-goosey kind of thing. And then be steady. Left leg goes up, inhale. Please keep the head down. No need to lift the head up. It's just the leg. Leg is straight, please. Try not to break the lines in the leg. Straight leg. And one-legged plank. Kiss your knee. Use your abdominals. Keep your shoulders over the wrist. Push the floor away from you. And then step forward, low lunge. Anytime you move with some resistance. That way you get more data into the brain. It's not loose. Good. You feel free to do whatever arm position. Good. Tuck your toes under back foot. If you can, hover the knee up just a bit. If not, just come straight up to high lunge. It's all good. There's not one that's better. It's really up to the individual. And then come to a high lunge. Make sure your front knee is over the ankle. Quite a few of you, your knee is behind the ankle. The weight distribution is even here. 50% in the front foot, 50% in the back foot. Open up, warrior two. Some of you, the gaze and the head were kind of random on the transition. Keep the legs supercharged. Keep your feet alive. Get your toes to grip some into the mat. And then come back to high lunge. Return to low lunge and then set up your hands for your twist. Breathe into it. Even though we're moving slow, you can still make this practice a very powerful one. Come back. Return to the center and step back, plank pose. Downward facing dog. Inhaling, look forward, come up, and fold. Straight back, please. The rounding the back, we don't need to come to yoga to teach the body how to do that. Okay, and rise up strong. And palms down. Let's reset through the arms. Good. Mountain pose. If you notice that your drishti was kind of like unsure, we're going to practice the same sequence over again. And this time you're going to address areas of where you think the gaze could be improved upon. Like try to get some clarity on the drishti. If not, later we could discuss it. For now, I want you to explore on your own. Inhaling, arms go up. Exhale, come down halfway. Make things strong. You've got weight strapped to you, both sides. Good. Charge up the legs. Charge up the legs. Good. Standing forward fold for 3 breaths. One, two. Pretend there's some of you, pretend there's a invisible block between your thighs, right above the knees. Hug it. Okay. Chaturanga, whether you jump back or walk back, up to you. Come all the way down. Cobra, inhale. Let's do some cobra repetitions. Okay, let's do 10. Come down. Inhale up and down, up and down. You count 10. Please don't move too fast or too slow. Some of you, your shoulders, they need to roll up higher. You got to create a stronger zipper at the top there on your back. Otherwise, your upper arm bone is angled down. Once you're done, push up to plank. Downward facing dog. Right leg goes up. Inhale. One-legged plank. Kiss your knee. Abdominal work. Cat pose, in other words. Step forward, low lunge. Inhale, rise up. Let's all bring the arms up. Do a thumb hook. Tuck your toes under back foot. Press up slightly, hover the knee, or just come straight up. Then everyone, high lunge. Deep breath in. Open up, warrior 2. Half move if you want it. The gaze is very important here for anchor. This is really not a reach to the floor. Come down, warrior 2. I'm going to have you try that again. Some of you, please make sure the chin is not leading you to the pose. Let's try again. To half move. Activate the feet. Even if your feet are not on the floor, you still have to activate it because it's still giving you data. Okay, come down, warrior 2. Return to high lunge. Add the thumb hook. Take it to warrior 3 or not. You could stay here. You have so many options, including not to do something. Return, high lunge to low lunge. Plant the hands, twist to the right. Now, yogis, you have an option here. Low lunge twist or high lunge twist. Personally, I think high lunge twist is easier because you don't have that break in the back knee, which makes it a little harder to orient the hips when the break is there. But you decide. The left shoulder needs to anchor down, not up. Okay, come out of it to plank. Use your breath, please. Downward facing dog. Alternate heel press. Left leg goes up. Inhale, make it strong. You have many choices, including not to do something. And I absolutely honor that choice of not doing. Okay, come forward, one-legged plank. Kiss your knee. Use your abdominals. Step forward, low lunge. Make things strong. 100% intention. Inhaling, arms up, reverse thumb hook. Make sure we suction the armpits in just enough so you feel expansion across the back and chest. It's just right. Good. Hover up the back knee, tuck the toes under first. Unless you're feeling strong, you don't need to do that then. Then into high lunge. Keep your shoulders over the hips. This is not a back bend, yogis. Open up, warrior two. Here we go. Only when you're steady. Please do not shift when you're still finding balance here. But when you're ready, go for it. Half moon. We need to know where that back foot is, the right foot. You have to charge it up and make sure that leg does not cross the midline because your upper body will then orient to that off center. Come back down. High lunge. Thumb hook, reverse thumb hook. Go to warrior three. Return. I love how some of you kind of got the gaze going. Excellent. Low lunge. Set your hands, twist. If you did a high lunge twist on the first side, please do it here too. One more breath. Then return to plank. Chaturanga, hold it. Come all the way down. Good. Bend, stretch out the right arm in front, bend the left knee. Which side do we typically start on? Okay, reverse. Reverse, and then turn. Use your abdominals. Anchor your legs down. The more you allow your legs to float, the harder it is because you don't have an anchor when you come up. Then you have to struggle a bit. Okay, come up and twist. So the right knee is bent, the left leg is straight. We twist to the right. It's a sequence that we've been doing. Good. Face the front, grab the right foot. Go extend the legs straight, go into teeter-totter if you want. Again, please honor your decision to not do. something. It's fine, totally fine. Sit up, whatever you choose to do, though, try to get the mechanics. Okay, let's return to that twist with the right knee bent. Put the foot down. Arm balance, yogis, go for it if you want. So the left elbow on the outside of the right leg, and you put the hands down, go into your scissor. Okay, return. Come down on your back, one vertebra at a time, make it slow. Make sure it's not a crash. Both arms. Okay, flip back, cobra. And switch. Switch and turn on your back. And rise up, use your abdominals. Good job, Monica. Nice. Twist to the left. Sit tall before you twist, shoulder blades down. Really charge up the right leg and the foot, like you're standing on the right foot. You need to really ground the body to actually access the potential that exists. When there's no grounding, there is no potential that we could really tap into because there's no grounding to start with. The foundation is lacking. Okay, come turn to the front, grab the foot, go into teeter-totter if you like, or you could just stretch out the leg. You don't need to teeter-totter. We're not doing a teeter-totter twist. It's just grabbing the foot. Chest up, please. Those of you doing the twist, you need to sit tall into the twist. Okay, come back, return to your twist. Arm balance, yogis, go for it. You return. Activate the right foot, please. Your toes will be pointing straight up. We're not stretching that foot. Okay, come down one vertebra at a time. And flip, return to cobra. Press up to plank into downward facing dog. Look forward, bend the knees, walk or jump up. And fold. Rise up, mountain. Palms down. Good. Monica, can you flip your camera up a bit? Now everyone face me. We're going to do that same zombie exercise where you walk in place with the eyes closed. We're gonna see if your practice thus far had any change effect. Okay. First, set up your feet straight. And you're nicely aligned, right? Then arms out, palms down, eyes closed. March in place. Like your normal gait. Please don't slow things down. You're not trying to, because then you won't get a true read. Just your normal. Normally, how do you walk? eyes open. For many, it looked like it made a difference. You're less turning. Do that again. Do that again. So set the feet. One thing to note is you want to engage your bandhas. When you engage your bandhas, you have better orientation because things are more integrated that way. Try it. Okay. Now you ready? March. Stop. So much better. So much better. Oh my gosh. Huge difference between the first two rounds in the beginning of class versus now. It just shows you the power of this practice, the ability for the body to find a balance when we're doing it with the intention, with the understanding. It's so good. Excellent. So, do you have any questions about the gaze? Some of you, like some of the transitions, I'm not sure where you were looking. Anybody? If no questions, we could just proceed.
Yeah, I kind of do. Hopefully it won't take too long, but in the Dristis, I know the eyes have to look this the way like in Warrior 2, but does the face and the chin and the head have to turn all the way also? Or is it just the eyes?
You're talking about from a high lunge to Warrior 2 transition, the Dristi there? That?
Well, just in general, because I noticed I'm trying to turn my head too much, I think, and I like kind of pulling my neck. My neck feels stiff afterwards. So I don't know if I'm like if I'm in Warrior 2, do I look out the corner of my eyes so I'm looking at my finger, or do I actually have to turn my whole head so I'm kind of looking straight?
Yeah. So Sandy and Tamao, what's your take on what he's asking?
You should turn your whole head. Your eyes should be in line with your head.
Yeah, which means if someone with a limited range of movement in the neck, what does that mean for you, Zeke? What Sandy said is exactly right. Your gaze should be with how you rotate your head. But if you have a limited range of movement in the neck, even though the cue is traditionally look at the hand, the middle finger, but if your head cannot turn that much, where do you look? What's the anchor? It's tricky. It can be tricky. I don't know. What do you say, Amelie? Most people.
I was gonna say you could still look over the middle finger, but then your eyes are not really centered. So what if you just shift it a little, look over the thumb?
Where are you looking when you turn your head? Zig, which finger?
I'm looking at middle finger for Warrior 2.
Yeah. So I love what Amelie said. What if you looked at the thumb? Does that give you less strain?
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Yeah, usually the rotation of the trunk and the rotation of the head should kind of be similar, meaning that I doubt that you have more rotation in the trunk than you have rotation in the neck, because in the human body, the neck has the most rotation in terms of parts of the spine. So there's no way you can turn your trunk more where your head can't. Your head, your neck, your head should always orient with the trunk. So if your trunk is rotated at 30 degrees, I doubt that your head could only rotate at 20 degrees. And the arms need to follow the rotation of the trunk. In other words, if I'm in Warrior 2 and I can only orient or rotate my trunk this way, I'm not going to artificially move my arm. So sorry, my arm needs to follow the angle of my trunk. It'd be here. I'm not going to artificially move my arm because you're not rotating. Your arms need to track with the body and not have the freedom to move on its own in isolation of the body. So if your arms are following your trunk, you shouldn't have any issue looking at the middle finger. If you have issue looking at the middle finger, it's because you artificially, in isolation, move the arm in separate of the trunk. So yeah, that's something, it's such a great question, and you can just examine as you practice. Okay, shall we get back on the mat?
Oh, I had a question on
yeah.
the zombie walk. So the first and third time we did it, I went crooked, but the second and fourth, sorry, I guess we did it 4 times total. So 2 of the times I was crooked and 2 of the times I was straight. And the very first time was the most crooked. So could that be like a physical thing? Because like my right leg is a little bit longer than my left leg. So I was always turning to my left.
Wait, so I wasn't paying attention to you specifically. Did you turn more the first 2 times and less the second?
I turned the most the first time, and then not the second or third times, and I turned a little bit on the 4th time.
Oh, okay. So a lot of times the imbalance has to do with, was it better though? I thought you looked better after the yoga.
The 4th, after the yoga was better, so that the third time we did it, but then the 4th time I was a little bit crooked again.
Okay. Yeah, a little bit is fine because we all have a dominant side. Even with the vision too, we have a dominant eye and a not as dominant. So the dominant side will always try to do more. And so which way were you turning towards more?
It's turned towards my left.
You were turning towards, if I do that exercise, I also turn to my left more because I'm right side dominant. And I'm also, in terms of, I'm also nearsighted. So my nearsighted is much severe on my right eye. Just by the pattern of my nearsightedness and the orientation of my body, I know that I overuse the right side. Which part of the brain controls the right side?
Left.
Yes. In other words, you and I are very left brain dominant. And so for you and I, we have to work extra hard in tapping into the parasympathetic nervous system so that we're not like driving constantly in the sympathetic nervous system. One of which, to counter that or to balance that, is to use the breath and to really try to create balance in the body where we're not using the flexors or the extenders, that we create a balanced situation in the spine to normalize. Another thing for those of you who tend to be right side dominant, and when you did the zombie test, you're orienting to the left, is make sure when you're practicing yoga, you do not look up. Don't look up. We're already in that excited mode, like not excited, but our nervous system, some of us, we tend to be on the sympathetic side of things. Those of us, try not to look up in your practice. Okay. These are just counters, and you slowly normalize, which is why yoga is great, because some of them, they turn a lot to the side. And just now, after yoga, like, it's significant change, which is, yeah. So I wanted to demonstrate to you that your practice does make a difference. It makes a difference even more if we're intent on the practice. Like everything you do, there's intent, and then you can course correct. Yeah. If you're turning, it's normal. It's so normal. We all have an orientation, but we use yoga to help balance. That's it. Yeah. Do you guys?
I have a related question. For the zombie walk, the first 2 times I was turning to the left quite a bit, and the third time, right after the practice, I was pretty much straight. But then for the third time, I remember feeling like, oh, I really have to engage the bandhas, and then I think that helped me.
Yeah.
And then I was wondering how, when my eyes are closed, how much gaze matter? Like, should I still thinking about the gaze as well?
No, because we're eliminating the vision as giving the brain feedback. We're just testing the vestibular system, in spite of whether the eyes are helping feed data. So yeah. So when your eyes are always course correcting. And sometimes the eyes we become sometimes too dependent on the eyes and not trusting enough on the other orientation of the body, the somatic experience. So closing the eyes, you just eliminate that. And just to see without the eyes, what is your natural state without the eyes course correcting. But also going back to the bandhas. Bandhas, the engagement of the bandhas is not just isolated or exclusive to practice on the mat. I try to, as much as possible, remember my bandhas throughout the day, because it creates an integration. Once you engage the bandhas, you also feel a subtle support in the pelvis, in the back, in the entire spine, and the whole body starts to kind of wake up in coordination, as opposed to a loosey-goosey kind of random movement. So yeah, bandhas are very important too. Let's go back to the map.
Oh, I have a question too.
Oh yeah, Sophie.
So I noticed in down dog and plank, I usually keep my eyes closed. Is that a bad thing? Should I be trying to keep them open?
Well, I'm wondering, is that a habit, or where? I mean, I wouldn't say it's wrong, but why do you close your eyes?
I think it helps me concentrate on getting my down dog into a good form.
Yeah, I think it's totally fine. Yeah.
Okay.
It doesn't take away anything, especially if it helps you to sense the body. Yeah. For people who are not as strong, though, I typically wouldn't advise them to close your eyes. Or people with balance issues, I wouldn't have them close their eyes because of the risk of falling. But downward facing dog and plank, especially at your level of strength, it's totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go back. I would at some point though, Sophie, just to switch things up, I would sometimes open the eyes just to see if you sense differently with the eyes open. Perhaps it could energize your pose even more with the eyes open. But it's not a tense kind of thing. Chair pose. Figure 4, right leg up. If you have trouble with balance, perhaps put your hands on your hips or anchor your hands on your leg. Shoulders down. Make sure your head is not forward of your feet, because any sort of forward action like that, when your head is not in the right position and it's forward in space, it creates a excitement in the nervous system. And then stand, reset the arms. Remember your bandhas too. Those of you who are finding balance challenging, engage bandhas. Chair pose into figure 4. This is like, my emphasis on keeping the chin in. Don't pull the chin out. Every time your jaw is oriented that way with the chin out, you're constantly in your fight, flight, or freeze state. It's not even a small thing. Two more breaths. You want to have some action into the left knee because you're stretching out the inseam of the leg and the hip. Stand. Reset the arms. Good. Chair pose. Go into chair as low as you can with control. Try to still have your head know where that center is. And then take a seat on the floor. You have an option here. Do a bow pose on a block or just do a bow pose on the mat. Bow pose, legs straight up or knees bent, is up to you. What you do want to do is get your thighs as close to the torso as possible. The farther away they are from each other, the more you're taxing your lower back. This is not a lower back taxation pose. Chest up though. Get the chest to lift. Lift the chest, ribcage up. Good. Plant the feet down. Tabletop. If I know some of you don't like tabletop, in which case you could go down, do a bridge pose, whichever one. Tomorrow, walk your feet out more so your shins are more straight, perpendicular. The reason for that is there would then be less stress into the knee joint at the kneecap. Good. Good. Sit down. boat pose. Feel free to grab the big toes or hold on to the back of your thigh. From here, we move into a straddle. So grab the feet or the big toes, open up. You could do a straddle on the ground on your mat. Chest up. Sandy, chest up. There you go. You could do a friend, you go ahead and sit up, do a straddle. See what Anne's doing and Amelie? Yeah. You could put your legs down on the ground. Yeah, there you go. Engage the feet though, everyone. Sophie, get your rib cage up higher from your pelvis. Okay, back, legs together, seated forward fold. Breathe. I wonder where your gaze is. Are you paying attention to the drishti on, even on the transitions? Please, some of you are leading forward with the chin. Tomorrow, lift the bottom of the rib cage up higher, away from your thighs. And then lengthen it forward towards your toes. There you go. Good. Sit up and lie down, please. Once you're on the mat flat, give it a good reset. Hug your knees. Feel free to roll from side to side. Do a twist of your choice. Let's twist to the right first. You could do a more active one or a very gentle one. Whatever you choose, it's all good. And I'm going to have you stay in your twist a little longer. So, yeah, lie down for the twist. So one of the reasons why we're the second round of the zombie walk, so many of you showed marked difference where you were much more straighter, is also after yoga practice, we're much more aware and connected to our body and much better in our sense of proprioception. Not to mention that you become much more aware of the relationship that your feet have with earth and gravity. Bring it back, give it a good stretch, then twist second side. Please bring it back to center. Do a super long stretch. Hug your knees. Roll from side to side. If you like, you could rest your legs up against something to rest, or just go straight into Shavasana. So just a quick recap of what I said in the beginning of class is that the brain affects the body and controls the muscles and joints and gives us a sense of balance. But, you know, at the same time, there are different parts of the body that would feed the brain the information. Our muscles and joints will give information to our brain in regards to our body part positions. Then we match this information with what we're seeing. It is the feet, the eyes, that will affect our sense of balance, which is that space between the ears, the vestibular system. Every time we practice, the feet, they have to stay engaged and awake. I'm hoping to use, the first week of our session, or for however long it takes for this session, to cover some important things, in my opinion, about creating stability and steadiness. So today we talked about, the system of the feet, the eyes, the vestibular, using the eyes, the drishti, to help create anchor. And we'll talk more about it, but I also will be getting into how we load weight. There are 4 ways in which we load the weight, and the considerations in how we manage weight distribution and weight shift. So that'll be later. Give me 2 days to summarize the class and send out the video link. Please roll to the right into fetus, curl up, small. And press up into a seat. Eyes closed. Take a few extraordinary breaths. Soften your eyes, all the eye muscles relaxed. Just a quick thing before we wrap up, in case I wasn't clear, because I didn't emphasize it too much today, that your jaw, the orientation of your head, the placement of your tongue, all that would affect your sense of balance, would affect the vestibular system. So the forehead, chin, chest thing is very important in your sense of balance overall. Let's go ahead and circle the arms up 3 times, and we'll on the third one. Completely exhale. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, palms down. Inhaling, arms up. Exhale, palms down. Inhale. Okay, well, thanks for showing up, and great seeing you guys. And yeah, 2 days. Give me 2 days. I hope I'm not going to be late, but you will get this link and a note summarizing. Okay, bye.